Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that Russia would deploy troops on the territory of Belarus and then begin to threaten Poland and the Baltic countries. According to the Ukrainian president, Belarus can be fully drawn into the war. The Charter 97 media outlet asked the military expert, Reserve Major of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Oleksiy Hetman, for comment. Oleksiy Hetman said that to begin with, these will not be the first Russian troops on the territory of Belarus. The same defeated Wagnerites who remained after the battles for Bakhmut were in rehabilitation in the country. Even towns were built for them. Joint exercises of Russian-Belarusian troops also often happens. We know that there are many Russians in the Belarusian army. It is worth remembering that the Iskander missiles with nuclear warheads that can be deployed in Belarus. If now the president of Ukraine says that troops can be deployed, most likely additional troops are meant. Perhaps a strike is being prepared, not on Ukraine, but on the Suwalki corridor. Maybe an attempt to attack Poland or Lithuania. We are not talking about full-scale hostilities, but provocations to look at the reaction of the NATO. If they do not react to missile overflights over NATO territory, then we will see how they will respond to sabotage or invasion, he added. Oleksiy Hetman told that as for Ukraine, most likely Lukashenko will not want to mess with us. After all, in the summer of last year, he tried to tell something. He immediately received a response from the Ukrainian Foreign Ministry that there was Article 51 of the UN Charter. It clearly states what aggression is, what actions a country that has fallen under it can take, and the actions are very simple. All military targets on the territory of the aggressor become legal. He was reminded of this, adding that if there is an attempt, then strikes will be carried out on military and administrative military facilities of Belarus immediately. He also sees what is happening in the Russian Federation, that she can do nothing with the Ukrainian troops in the Kursk region. Against this backdrop, Lukashenko is well aware that the Belarusian army is weaker than the Russian one, so if there is an attempt to attack us from Belarus, a missile or drone strike will follow in response. If we also send in troops, Lukashenko spoke out, Kiev in 3 days, there will already be Minsk in 3 days. Now, everyone is talking about possible negotiations on the war in Ukraine. Could there be a question about the demilitarization of Belarus in these negotiations? He added.
A small commuter plane that crashed in western Alaska on its way to the hub community of Nome was located Friday on sea ice, and all 10 people on board died, authorities said. According to Associated Press, the crash appeared to be one of the deadliest in the state in the last 25 years. Mike Salerno, a spokesperson for the U.S. Coast Guard, said rescuers were searching the aircraft's last known location by helicopter when the wreckage was spotted. 2 rescue swimmers were lowered to investigate. A photo provided by the Coast Guard showed the plane's splintered body and debris lying on the sea ice. 2 people in brightly colored emergency gear circled the wreckage. Nome Mayor John Handland choked up as he discussed the deaths and the response effort. On behalf of my fellow Nomets, I extend our collective condolences and support to the families and loved ones of the passengers and pilot and others in our big Alaska family that are also impacted by this tragic occurrence, Handland said. Clint Johnson, the chief of the National Transportation and Safety Board's regional office in Alaska, said that an investigator would gather perishable evidence at the crash site and start an investigation. The Bering Air single-engine turboprop plane was traveling from Unalakleet on Thursday afternoon with 9 passengers and a pilot, Alaska's Department of Public Safety said. It was operating at its maximum passenger capacity, according to the airline's description of the plane. The Cessna Caravan left Unalakleet at 2:37 p.m., and officials lost contact with it less than an hour later, according to David Olson, Director of Operations for Bering Air. There was light snow and fog, with a temperature of 17 degrees, -8.3 Celsius, according to the National Weather Service. The Coast Guard said the aircraft went missing about 30 miles southeast of Nome.
The narrative for today's press conference has changed a bit, as earlier this afternoon, the U.S. Coast Guard discovered wreckage of an aircraft matching the description of the overdue Bering Air Flight 445 traveling from Unalakleet to Nome. Sadly, there does not appear to be any survivors. On behalf of my fellow Nomites, I extend our collective condolences and support to the families and loved ones of the passengers and pilot, and others in our Big Alaska family are also impacted by this tragic occurrence.
The Coast Guard did locate the aircraft on the ice about 34 miles southeast of Nome. It was a Coast Guard MH-60 Jayhawk helicopter and an air crew. When the air crew located the wreckage, they lowered 2 rescue swimmers to investigate the scene. Those rescue swimmers are out on the ice. They were able to see inside the aircraft, and they saw 3 individuals who were unresponsive, without any signs of life. The remaining 7 people are believed to be on board, but due to the extent of the damage, the rest of the aircraft was inaccessible. But all 7 people are believed to be inside that wreckage, and unfortunately, of course, it does not appear to be a survivable crash.
Presently, right now, we understand that Stacia Joyce, the NTSB investigator that we launched up there early this morning, is on scene with the Coast Guard. Her intent is to document the site to the best of her ability. Some pretty rough conditions, obviously, but what she's going to be doing is documenting that perishable evidence and start the investigation.
A small aircraft crashed on an avenue in Sao Paulo on Friday morning shortly after taking off from a nearby private airport, killing at least 2 of its passengers, the local firefighter corps said in a statement. According to Associated Press, the plane went down in the busy Barra Funda neighborhood on the city's west side, near its downtown. A piece of the plane hit a bus, injuring 1 woman inside, while a motorcyclist was struck by another piece of wreckage, the firefighter's statement said. Both were receiving medical care. A later statement said that 4 additional victims at the site were taken to hospitals in the area with minor injuries. Officials had no immediate information on the identities of the 2 fatalities. There was no word as to what had caused the plane to lose altitude and smash into the avenue less than 3 miles, 5 kilometers, from the private airport from which it had departed. It was bound to Porto Alegre, in the southern Rio Grande do Sul state.